Well, it's a very good evening to you. Welcome to the West Ham Weekly on the West Ham Voice on a Monday night. I hope you're all had a good weekend and have had a good start to the week ahead. Plenty to talk about. As usual, I'm going to go over the game. I know I've done a review and a reflection, but I'll talk briefly about the game. But there are some headlines tonight, primarily about Amanda Staveley and the suggestion that she will be putting together or has put together a consortium to take over West Ham United. And a bit of an exclusive, kind of, with Karen Brady gone. City Hall now may be ready to discuss the future ownership or the future running of the London Stadium. So all that to come. And there'll be the main sort of headlines as well. We talk about the women's team. They're back in action, the under-21s, the under-18s, and so on. But let's start with, actually, because I always forget sometimes to go, and it's a bit too late, to look at your comments. But before I do all that, if you are a new person to the West Ham Voice and you've yet to subscribe, there's the QR code. You can go into that at any time. Click on that. You can subscribe to the channel free of charge, and hit the like button if you enjoy the channel, if you enjoy the show, and also hit the hype button for me as well, because that allows you to promote this particular video on my behalf on YouTube. So let's get into the comments. Let's get into the chat. Let's see who's in there tonight. Good evening to you, Stephen. I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. Daniela, good evening to you. I hope you're well. And thank you to our the mods. I rarely say thank you to them, and I should. You see anyone with a spanner next to their name, it means that they're a moderator on the channel, and they really help me out. So thank you, Daniela, and any other mods. I can see Hammerette's there as well for helping me out. Stephen, good evening to you. Do you think David Sullivan should leave the club with Amanda Staveley and her husband buy West Ham in the summer takeover, if there's a summer takeover? I think he may just decide to leave anyway. Would she come in with him staying there? I'm not too sure. I've never thought about it being both of them there, but I think it's kind of either or. If Staveley comes in, I think it's potentially a whole takeover. John, good evening to you. Can't be any worse than Sullivan. Certainly can't be. Toha, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Yuha, good evening, mate. If it happens, it will be risky. Never know how long she will stick around and what kind of investors she will bring. But I'm going to go into that to give you a little bit of insight. Some clubs really benefit from being run like a company. Fans seldom get lucky. Well, if you speak to the Newcastle fans, I know they're not happy at the moment because the results aren't going so well. But I remember when we went up there a couple of seasons ago and we were in one of the Newcastle pubs and we got talking to people, what do you think of the new ownership? And they were cock-a-hoop. They were really happy about how much investment was going in by those who currently own the club, about the investment, the infrastructure, not only at the club but also around the environment of Newcastle United, and they were really cock-a-hoop about it. No. Anthony, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Good evening to you, Darren. How are you, mate? Good evening to you, Daz, and good evening to you, Togs. How are you? Oh no, Daz again. Hammerette, good evening to you. I hope you're well. Let's have a question. That's why Kretinsky, Anthony, and Sullivan want to be co-partners, so they make a profit on the sale of West Ham to Amanda Staveley and her consortium to take over, and she will take Brady's job. It all fits. Yeah, it all does if it happens. If it happens, I had a conversation before I went online tonight about the prospect of Staveley taking over, and it's really a 50-50 thing. It's some are suggesting it's just yet again certain YouTube channels, certain social media channels just running a story because it fits the narrative. Staveley has got a consortium together. Who could it be that she might buy out? You look at, apparently Newcastle might be back in again for being bought out. Can you believe that? I doubt that very much. And then you look at other Premier League clubs and you sort of ask yourself, well, who's available? West Ham always seems to be the one. And there's a suggestion that quite possibly, hang on, let's see what he says. There's a suggestion that it fits the narrative too easily, and it might not really happen. But sorry. Oh, I knew that already. Right, Newcastle away. Whoever's going to Newcastle away, it's on 5:30 on the Sunday. That's the message I just received. I heard about it earlier on. So if anyone's going to Newcastle away, it's still on the Sunday the 17th, day before my birthday. and it's at 5:30 kickoff. So getting back from there, bit of a pain in the ass, isn't it? Anyway, so yeah, it fits the narrative. Will it happen? I don't know. There's a suggestion that it's just social media gossip. There's a suggestion that there's nothing in it at all. And then some people are hoping to believe that it does happen. Look, Staveley, when I go into her details, is quite an interesting character. So I'll get to that in a moment. Darren, watching Man U Brentford. Brentford are losing 2-0, but look good. We're going to have to be at the top of our... We always do when we play Brentford, especially away from home. Hammerat, good evening all. What a mentally stressful final 10 minutes that was. 10, only 10. I would say the last 25 minutes was pretty stressful. Upton Parker, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. If they buy, then first job they can raise the bowl to the ground, build a 60,000 seat stadium record bowling. That will never happen, unfortunately. You might just be able to reconfigure it in some way internally, but it's been suggested quite a few times, and people have suggested you should dig down, but unfortunately there's water there. So, but there are suggestions of maybe reconfiguring it. But I'm going to get to the London Stadium later on in the show, because there's talk about the possibility of the London Stadium changing hands now that Karen Brady's gone. Isn't it exciting times? Exciting on the pitch, well, nerve-wracking on the pitch, and exciting off the pitch as well. Can we alternate home games at 3 Point Lane with the Championship spuds while they build? Anthony, don't take the piss out of them yet. They're not, they're not down yet. Anyway, Anthony, it's going to be a party time at the London Stadium when we beat Arsenal and confirm our Premier League status, and also end Arsenal's hopes of winning the league. Daz, we need someone who is going to pump millions into the club. You can do, but with the not PSR anymore, it'd be the new one. I can't remember what it's called, SCR, whatever it is. There'll still be restrictions, unfortunately. So, as Newcastle have found out to their detriment, you can only pump a certain amount of money. If it's not generating income to balance it out, then you can only pump in a certain amount of money. Anthony, Daniela, it's Amanda Staveley spearheading the takeover. Have you seen any problems at Man City or Newcastle? Well, no, not really. Man City are a Man City. I don't think we will ever get the land around the Olympic Park. One thing I don't want is us becoming shopping centre, cinema and football club. Do you know what, Yuha? I've been to a couple of, during our heyday in Europe, and we went to a couple of stadiums there. I think it might have been Genk or Ghent. I can't remember which way round it was. And I remember it there being a shopping centre on the lower ground, and I think a bar and a few other things. And it can work. It can work. So obviously, how do you work that out when it's football? No, you can't have shops open when you've got football going on. But actually, inside the stadium, they had a few shops at this particular. I can't remember which stadium it was, but they had a few shops around. So I don't know. It could happen. I don't know. Yuha again. West Ham need to have a stadium close to community with local shops and stores. We really need to build a new Boleyn. I would love to say that I 100% agree with that, and I do 100% agree with that. But do I think it would ever happen? I'm not too sure, to be quite honest with you. Michael, good evening to you. Karen Maxwell has peed off. Karen Brady has peed off. Just waiting for Jeffrey. Oh, I've got you. Jeffrey Sullivan now. Staveley, the saviour, is on her way. Well, let's see if it happens. Graham, nearly safe, guys. Nearly safe. Greetings from Alberta. I hope you're well there. Are you still snowed under? Is it snowing there now? Stephen, great win for West Ham on Saturday afternoon, getting 3 points over former boss at London Stadium. It was a relief. Mark, good evening to you. I hope you're well. To Daniela, we're not here of our ancestral home. We're not near our ancestral home. 60,000 stadiums, your parking and ease of transport. There's something about this. If it was more a footballing stadium, I think we will all accept it, wouldn't we? I don't quite think we'll move away from there. I really don't. Can we make it better? I'm sure there are ways around it, but money would have to be pumped into it without a doubt. Mr. McLaren, 8-month member. He's the only one I've seen, 8-month member. Congratulations to you. Who else have we got? Good evening to you, Peter. I hope you're well. Good evening to you, James. How are you? Hope you're well. Daniela, surely if Spuds go down, then Amanda would be interested in them again. They are another club that she'd be interested in, but apparently they've only just been bought out, and it sounds as if they're not looking at selling the club, even if they do go down. Look how much more they would be worth than us when they come back up again. When? You mean if they come back up again? Don't you? Got that the wrong way round. Hammer it again. The ground was electric when Wilson scored. Felt like we'd won the league. Wasn't it fantastic? And we can generate an atmosphere there. We absolutely can. Of course, the team have got to give us something to cheer about, but we absolutely can generate an atmosphere there. It's been fantastic there for the last few months, to be quite honest with you. Dark Star, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Excellent. We are on a roll. We are. You know, apparently, if you look at the stats from if the league started from the 17th of January, soon after we lost against Wolves, and just after the QPR game, we would have been something like 6th in the league now on the points that we've accumulated since the middle of January. We are on a roll. Boxes, good evening to you. You're late. I was on early. I hope you're well. Who else have we got here? Let's try and get a few other comments in. Brendan Toha. Just when we think Big Tom can do no more, he turns up with his family to cheer on West Ham staff running the marathon. That guy's club. Absolutely. Fantastic. Absolute, turns up. Not only does he turn up on the pitch and does the business there, but he turns up and he supports. He's West Ham through and through. He loves the club. He absolutely does love it. And isn't it interesting that David Moyes praised him? His 200th appearance on Saturday, Premier League appearance on Saturday, scoring a goal. Moyes would have loved to have had Souček, and I'm glad we didn't get rid of him. Aaron, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Rob, good evening to you. Just watching the Brentford game. They are a very good team. We'll be lucky to get anything from them. We know they're a good team. We know that they're going to go at us, and let's say it now. Let me say it now. If we walk away with a point on Saturday, I'll be all right with that. And I know we need wins, but you've only got to look at Spurs' running as well. I think they got Villa, haven't they, this weekend? So they've got to get a win there. Epic, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Who else have we got here? Let's scroll down. Elbow, good evening to you. I hope you're well. I would want DS gone 100%. I think if a consortium came in to buy the club out, I don't think Sullivan will stay on. See, there are conflicting stories though, aren't there? Because one story last week was all about Sullivan and Kretinsky upping their percentage to own an equal share of the club. And now we're talking about Amanda Staveley this week. So you can see the narrative keeps changing. And I can't tell you which is the truth, to be honest with you. Which would I think is more likely to happen is possibly Kretinsky and Sullivan taking a larger share of the club, having equal ownership of the club rather than Staveley coming in. That's what I think would happen. Not what I want, but what I think is more likely to happen. Who else we got here? Good evening to you, Ellis. I hope you're well. Do you think we'll get a new takeover in 2026? That's what we're talking about now. Christine, good evening to you. Good evening to you, Randy. Brentford are 2-0 down to Man U, although it's still dangerous. They're vulnerable on the counter-attack. Also conceded from a corner as well. So far, we have a good chance against them. So there you go. There are the positives. PIF are selling their football clubs and are planning to get out of most of sports event investment. So therefore, it could be true about Newcastle maybe looking to sell again. It's quite possible. Staveley coming in. Good evening to you, Yardy. English Yardy, I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. Good to see you. Good evening to you, Mark. How are you? I hope you're well. John, good evening to you. I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. We always welcome fans from other clubs here. And congratulations to you. You're doing fantastic, aren't you? Hope you're okay on the West Ham watch along. When Everton equalised, it was Nuno out. Get rid of Nuno. Crikey, when you scored, it was Nuno, genius. Nuno, fantastic. It's the way fans are. And do you know what happened again when Everton scored? Fans started walking out again. What? They didn't learn their lesson, did they? Good evening to you, Dickie. I hope you're well, mate. Evening. Fantastic result. And that's what we're... You know what? If we get lucky for our last 4 games, get results like that, even if we're lucky, I'll take it. I absolutely would take it. Kevin, good evening to you. Take over a great lift for West Ham. Hope she succeeds. Pete, and the Barcodes fans were upset when Staveley left, actually. There you go. I think she was very much liked. Ivan, good evening to you. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Randy, feels like we need to get our Premier League status secured first before we get any takeover stories, but hopefully there will be something on the horizon. Absolutely. Don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting it's going to happen tonight or tomorrow or next week. It will be the end of the season. And then let's see. Now, Staveley, could buy a club in the Championship. It would be a lot cheaper and then build it up and get it back up again. Absolutely. There's a distinct possibility of that happening. English Yardie. Still, how much did Sullivan buy West Ham for? Also, I saw they said the sale could be 1 billion. Nowhere near a billion, mate. Absolutely not. The value Sullivan would love it if he sold it for a billion. I think 800 mil is probably the top whack, and that was Brady's valuation. I don't remember how much he bought West Ham for, to be honest with you. I should look up at that, but it will certainly be a significant lot less than what he will sell it for. I'm going to say something like, no, I better not, because I'll be completely wrong. Si, good evening, mate. Man City can't be generating money. They can't fill the ground. They're not generating money, but that's why they've got all these charges against them, which they will get off with. You know, all these PSR charges. Hammer it. See the clip of Coventry fans singing, "We're going to Arsenal. You're going to Spurs." To Wrexham fans as they won. Randy, if we can get through Brentford and Arsenal with positive results and Spurs drop points at Villa and Leeds, then by Newcastle and Leeds, when we play, we should be okay. But as I say, favours will be needed. Let's do it off our own backs. You know, we've all got a feeling about Arsenal. We've all got a feeling that we might just do one over on them. I know, we're all mad. Randy, Dark Star, it's definitely an opportunity we must take at Brentford, despite our recent record against them. But certainly they're vulnerable, and we need to remain injury-free if possible as well. Touch wood. We are currently injury-free. Touch wood. Dark Star, let's hope we stay up and Spurs get Lincoln's for the first game. Who else have we got? Randy, American owners are very mixed, as Bournemouth are a prime example of good American owners, but you could get a Man United owner like the Glazers who are hated a lot. So it's a lottery. You're absolutely right. And it does worry me. I won't lie to you. It does worry me that if there's more American, no disrespect to the Americans who watch, but it does worry me to get more American ownership in the Premier League, because I think I did a show on it a couple of months ago. You know, if it balances too much where there are too many American owners, they could start dictating as to how the Premier League should be run. You know, and we wouldn't want that. Daz, Stel, what do you think about the Brentford game? It's going to be tough. I think the Brentford game is going to be very, very tough. And like I said a moment ago, if we can walk away with a point from that, I'm not going to be disappointed. And I will see it as a good result. It's a bit like the Crystal Palace game a few weeks ago, where fans were really upset. But I know we need the win. There's no doubt about that. But if we walk away with a point away from home against a tough opponent like Brentford, I'd be all right. Of course, we want 3 points. What we can't do is lose. Dorset Kev, good evening to you. We are the only club to go down with 42 points. I'm scared it will happen again. Tottenham. Why are people thinking Tottenham are going to do it over us? They've won one game this year so far, this calendar year so far. Do you really think they've got 3 more? They've got Chelsea. They've got Aston Villa. You know, they've got Leeds. It's not an easy running for them, to be honest with you. Not an easy running for them whatsoever. Mandy, good evening to you. I would say we have the easiest away game next with Forest and Spurs. Forest and Spurs? Brentford. Oh, you mean between Forest and Spurs? Would you take a 1-1 draw now, given our last 6 games put us 5th in the Premier League form? Yes. You know, and it's not me being defeatist. It's not me being sort of throwing the towel in, but a 1-1 against Brentford, I think I would take. Like I said, Spurs have got to play Aston Villa. And Forest, even though they've got the results, you know, they're not out of it yet. If they lose their next game and we win, we're on level points with them. How many points do you think we'll need to stay up? For me, I think 6 points will keep us up. I would agree with you, Aaron. I would even go as far as to maybe suggest 5, but 6, I think, will make it very safe. Randy. Dark Star, we can have to maintain our lead and not give up the initiative to Spurs, but our advantage is Spurs' injury crisis as well, and Nuno's experience factor in relegation battles. And there you are. Spurs ain't been here before. We have. We've been here before. We've got a manager that knows all about it. We've got players in the squad that know all about it as well. That's why when you got players like Souček in the team and other grafters, and I know Pablo gets a lot of stick from fans, but he's a grafter, and we need that right now. And that's why I think we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Hammer it. You know what I want to put a bet on? West Ham staying up, Spurs going down, and Arsenal not winning the league. That might be a good little bet to put on. Hammer it. My preseason bet is hanging by a thread. All I need to come in now is we concede no more than 2 more goals. Oh dear. Yeah, your preseason bet is hanging by more than a little less than a thread. Dark Star. Spurs have big injury problems. Can't see them getting enough points. I don't, I don't. I'm not wishing it, but I just don't think they will get enough points. All right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Let's talk about Staveley, and we'll come back to your comments in a moment because she's an interesting character. Who is Amanda Staveley? Well, a British businesswoman, a financier known for brokering major deals involving Middle Eastern investment groups. So when it looks with regards to sort of American ownership, she primarily goes for the Middle Eastern markets. In football, she's become one of the most recognizable figures associated with high value club takeovers and long-term investment projects. She's got a reputation, access to sovereign wealth funds, ability to structure complex multi-party deals, a track record of bringing new capital into English football. Yes, I am reading it off my list. Of course I am. I'm not going to remember all this. But she's not a traditional football person. She's a deal maker who specializes in connecting elite investors with Premier League football clubs. Now, Staveley, I don't know how many people know this because I certainly didn't. Staveley first got known for a deal she did in 2008. She played a role in facilitating the Abu Dhabi United Group's takeover of Man City. I thought it was only Newcastle, but there you go. So as far back as 2008, she was involved in the deal involving Man City. And reports at the time described her as a key intermediary who opened the door to the deal. But the most high-profile deal, of course, is her deal for Newcastle United. That she did in 2021. She represented PCP Capital Partners. She worked alongside PIF of Saudi Arabia and the Rubin brothers, and she became a director at the club after the takeover. And she's hands-on, publicly fronting the ownership, communicating with fans, helping shape the club's early post-takeover strategy. Imagine that was Brady, who's now gone. Staveley knows her business in terms of football. She may not be a footballing person, but she knows her business there. And communicating with the fans. And someone said in the chat, the Newcastle fans were upset that she left, because she is a good figure, a good focal point, a good figure for the club. She's persistent. She's got access to capital. She understands football commercial landscape, and she's got the ability to navigate regulatory and political complexities as well. So West Ham could benefit from this in several ways. If Staveley is really going to bid or get a consortium to bid for West Ham United, the access to the capital, she talks about modern footballing operations. She talks about long-term strategies, all the stuff that we are crying out for. We're absolutely crying out for. But there is a risk because she doesn't stay around for long. She's a facilitator. She's not there for the long term. She's not primarily there to run the club forever. Her role is get in, get it set up, leave, look for the next project. Is that a problem? Not necessarily, not if she gets the right owners for us. So for a club like West Ham, the only problem with this, of course, is we're a small ownership-run club. So there's a major shift that's going to have to happen. We've got to think big. We've got to think global. But West Ham does tick a lot of boxes. It's a London-based club. We've got a huge global fan base. The London Stadium itself is not maximized to its fullest. And we know that the commercial ceiling at West Ham United is by far it hasn't reached its peak. Sponsorship and I know that the stadium sponsorship is not directly our responsibility, but sponsorship in general, we always seem to go for these low bid. No disrespect to Betway and everyone else, but we always seem to go for these low bids, and Staveley could probably get us in a big bid. But her involvement could also mean longer term funding, better player recruitment, improved facilities, not only at the football stadium, but also the training facilities. And also she'll set up a proper footballing structure, a director of football and all that sort of stuff. And she's got a track record, increased sponsorship deals, expanding global reach, building a brand partnership. All these things we know is underdone at West Ham United. Our commercialization of the club is well below where it should be, despite the fact that Karen Brady considered herself to be an absolute guru in terms of running football clubs. So there's a lot for her, Staveley, if she took over, that she can get her teeth into. And then the stadium itself. All right, we don't have ownership of the naming rights, but she could get involved in that and explore discussions with City Hall, with the Mayor of London, about naming rights for the stadium. So, and of course, that comes into what happens with the stadium itself. Long-term stadium control or redevelopment of it could be revisited. The commercialization of the stadium could be looked at as well. So Staveley could do this role, basically what we always wanted Brady to do. You could do this role where it becomes bigger than just the club, looking at the London Stadium and doing more there. Do I like the sound of Staveley coming in? Absolutely. I don't think anyone would not like it. She sounds like a person who's got a head. Well, I've just said it, haven't I? It's everything that we wanted Brady to be, that Brady wasn't. With Brady gone, we need a figurehead now. Some people have suggested Daniel Levy. I'm not so sure about that. But if there's going to be a consortium that's going to take over the London Stadium, then why not Staveley? I think she would be a fantastic prospect for West Ham to take West Ham on as a project. But would she stay there for the long term? No, that's not her long-term aim. She doesn't stay there for the long term. She'll set the infrastructure up and then she'll move on once a buyer has come in. So basically, her consortium will buy it and then they'll sell it on. It basically is, but they'll sell it on in good shape. It won't just be a basket case. It will be, what did I say? Maybe it is a bastard case. It won't be a basket case. It will be a properly run club to attract new ownership, to attract the Middle Eastern money. That's basically her approach. Right. Before I go into anything else, let's see what else we've got here. Did I do this one? Daz, Brentford is still a difficult team, but at the same time in the cup we were able to get a result. But as I say, intent is key for how we set up against them on Saturday. I think we're going to play on the counter attack. I really do. I think that's the way it's going to go. Good evening to you, CC. I hope you're well. Haven't been for a while. Very glad you're back, mates. And I'm glad to be back as well. I haven't done these regularly, but they will be regular from now on. Garino, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Thought these reports of Staveley come from a crap source. Possibly. Like I said, I discussed it with someone earlier today, and they did suggest, I wouldn't hold too much water on this. I think it's a possibility. But I think let's see what happens at the end of the season, what league we're in, because the league status will determine whether someone like Staveley will come in to buy us. Toha. Usual was in Tesco's earlier, needed a tin of peaches. I asked Scarf, remember where they were. She said, I'll see. And then she disappeared, went looking myself and found them in RC. Thank you for that, Toha. Randy, Dark Star, this is where we should have the edge, although the points gap is small with 2 and the margin for error is slim. But if we can just hold our nerve, we should be okay. Clarence Boo forever. Good evening to you. Come on, your irons down with the Spuds. Spuds will get 2 points of the 4 games, where we will get 5 and we'll be sorted. Garino. If Carlsberg did footy seasons, we beat Arsenal, deny them of the title, and at the same time send Spurs down, I will get pished for a month. I think we'll all join you. 105 million paid plus debt is what Sullivan, thank you, Si, is what Sullivan bought the club for. I was almost going to say 100 million, but I wasn't sure. Didn't he buy 50% first at 50 million, then the other half or something like that? 105 million. What we sold Declan Rice for. Marky boy. Thiago should have had 4 goals tonight. Hope he's not saving his goals for us. Don't worry. Either Disasi or I was almost going to say Kilman. Either Disasi or Mavropanos will have him in his pocket on Saturday. 8 Barley, good evening to you. I hope you're well. I think they bought for 50 to 65 mil, 50% of the time, yeah, and then the other half. Richie, good evening to you, mate. I hope you're well. No problem with the result, but problem is with VAR. How did they not think it was not a handball in the penalty area? He swipes the ball away with his hand. Richie is an Everton fan. You're welcome, mate. But let's be really honest. Pickford took Tatiana. What's wrong with me tonight? Pickford took Tati out. I literally went into him. Studs first, mate. And Pickford should have actually been sent off earlier in the game. What have we got here? Harry, we are staying up. Sing, we are staying up. Another 8-month member. Thank you for that, mate. Garino, Brentford playing well versus Man U, but look a little suspect on the counter. And this is how I think we're going to play them. I think we'll hit them on the counter attack. James, Golden Sullivan, bought West Ham 52 mil with a third party. John, evening all. Tottenham believe they are only have to turn up against Leeds in a couple of games. Leeds beat Spurs, and it could mean Leeds being safe and Spurs going down. If that's what they think, let them continue to think that and stay deluded until they find themselves in the Championship. Victor, Brentford are a good side, but they are better on the road. Well, there you go. So we stand an even better chance. Randy, Daz, we can win, but I say Nuno is to give us the best chance of winning. We can attack Brentford, but it's also having the bravery of having a big lead first and being defensive. Hope we win. I don't think he's going to. I think he will play on the counter. I agree, Si. I don't think Forest are safe. 39 points, but they're not safe yet, you know. Who else we got? Marky Boy. Sadly, I'm missing Brentford. It's becoming a nightmare to get out and back into Tenerife recently. Is it all because of the passport stuff? I've heard it's a bit of a nightmare. Thomas, good evening to you. Perhaps Leeds losing the semi-final may play into our hands, as they may give it a good go against Spurs. I would expect them to give it a good go anyway. Dickie, I think Sully and Gold paid around 50 or 60 mil for West Ham, took on about 120 mil of debt from BC Holdings. You're about right. Absolutely. Ibrahim, good evening to you. I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. Who else have we got here? Randy again. Happy? No, not they did not, and their games got more difficult. But as I say, margin for error has got to be slim. Got to maintain our points. What did Hammeret's Spuds didn't even win convincingly? No, they didn't win convincingly against a relegated team, Wolves. You know, so I think a lot of fans are giving Spurs a lot more credit at probably winning their games as they're giving us. I don't get that. We're the ones in form at the moment. Garino, Sky posted a video called "Can Spurs Do the Great Escape?" the other day, conveniently forgetting we have a 15-point turnaround on them since mid-January. Yeah. Well, you know, it's the big team narrative, isn't it? You know, that I think if we went down, Sky will go, well, it was always going to happen, wasn't it? Hamret, Daniela, no cash out. Needed about 16 to come in, and this is the final one. No cash out. But fingers crossed for you, Hamret. Harry, Spud scrape a 1-0 win against an already relegated side that just got a hiding by the mighty Hammers. The Spud squad haven't got the bottle for a relegation battle. Something about North London. Yeah, this is what I'm thinking as well. You know, so why we, you know, of course, I'm not saying we should be relaxed, but why do some fans think that Spurs have got one over on us? Garino, Kudus is looking for Tim Stein in his jet. He's offering to pay for the jet fuel. He's desperate. But it was always Spurs, wasn't it? John, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Anyone seen Pickford's challenge on Tati? Horrendous. Yeah, I totally agree with that. You know, he got away with it. He didn't even get a yellow card. And that should have been a sending off and a penalty, without a shadow of a doubt. Who else we got? Randy. Amanda Staveley got Man City, their new owners. Also, Newcastle. Apparently, Newcastle denied that Staveley would be interested in coming back to Newcastle. I don't know. Would she? Oh. John. On another day, Tati's legs get snapped clean. Pickford has a history for this type of challenge. Then the cheeky thing starts waving his hands. Well, he's a dirty bastard, isn't he? Nigel, not for the first time, Pickford has made a challenge like that, put Van Dijk out for months with a similar one, and he got away with it. I mean, it wasn't even, you know, they didn't even look at it in VAR. That, to me, was a penalty. John, off the top of my head, Staveley's old man is a prominent wheeler dealer in the background. Perhaps someone might know more than me. I don't, to be honest with you. You're probably absolutely correct. Dad's our job. Good evening, guys. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Mark, thank you for the scores over in Italy. Lazio 3-3 with Udinese, if anyone's interested. Dad's just watching Man United with Brentford, and the Bees look very out of form. That's interesting because most people have been saying so far that they look really good, even though they're losing. Interesting. Leon, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. All safe, all good, and well. Listening in at the Snooker Worlds, my missus thinks I'm listening to the commentators. Marky boy, Dad's Thiago could have had 4 goals. Let's hope he's not saving them for us. Don't say it again. It might bring us bad luck. You've said that twice now, mate. Jenny, good evening to you. I'm very well. I hope you are too. Great result, but Nuno's negativity almost cost us again. Attack should be his mantra until we're safe. I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. I didn't like Potts coming on Saturday. I thought it gave Everton more momentum. They already had the momentum. I kind of get the logic. If you're losing your midfield, you need to tighten midfield up, etc. I kind of get that. But then you look at when he brought Kante on for a few games, and Kante runs at them. It gives the opposition something to worry about. So if you wanted to tighten up the midfield, I wouldn't have minded Kante coming on to get the ball and run with it. So yeah, but we did sit back. There's no denying it. Did we get away with it? Yeah. Do I care? No. Do I care if we get away with it again for the next 3 or 4 games? No. So long as we win, of course, or get a draw, or get the results that we need. Andrew, I quite like Pablo blocking pick nose for Tom's opener. Fernandez, no penalty, and Tom clearing 2 off the line. Things are going our way. Sometimes things really do work over a season. Yeah, you think about the bad, some of the bad decisions that have gone against us throughout the season. They're coming back to roost now, aren't they? Because we're getting our fair share now. Of things going our way. Staveley is a mastermind, Dads, in selling British businesses. Barclays, Man City, almost Liverpool and Newcastle. Spurs bid fell on its arse, as Joe Lewis said. No, West Ham can massively benefit from this if it happens. Absolutely agree. And I just went through Staveley's credentials, and she would turn this West Ham United club around overnight, wouldn't she? Overnight. Aaron. If Tottenham go down and I can see them plummeting down to League One, and nothing will make me happier. I don't think anything will make any of us happier. Darren, good evening to you. We're only 6 points behind Newcastle. There you go. Only 6 points behind Newcastle. Garino, results have gone our way recently with Chelsea beating Leeds in the Cup. Hopefully the stars are aligning. But you've got to make your own luck as well. We're party to this. Let's not forget where we were in the beginning of January and where we are now. We've ground out results. We've done really, really well. It's not just other results going our way, although they have, but also we've ground out results as well. Budgie, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Finally able to get in whilst you're live. Mondays is usually darts night. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Much appreciated. Josh, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Lots of pundits and people I see online are actually backing Spurs to survive. I can't see it, but my confidence is shaky. I can't see it. With the greatest of respect, I don't understand. I don't get it. Where all of a sudden they're going to go from not only winning 1 game against Wolves this year to winning, 3 out of the next 4? Because that's what they're going to need. James, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Would you class Pablo and Tati as strikers? I know we had this conversation offline earlier on. Look, yes, they are. But and I know what you're thinking. They're not scoring enough goals, but I think they're doing a job for the club. I think they are. I think we've got goals in us. I think our midfield, our defenders are scoring goals. I saw a lot of Somerville and Bowen to suggest I think they're back on it again. Let's not forget Bowen created 2 chances, 2 goals at the weekend. Whilst we're winning, I guess I don't mind. It's if we start losing and they're not scoring. That's I think when. Look, dust. We're doing the whole flat at the moment. And there's a layer of dust everywhere. Whilst we're winning and getting the goals from elsewhere, I don't mind. I guess it'll be more prominent if we're not winning and the strikers aren't scoring. But they're doing a job. They're doing a job for us. Deborah, good evening to you. Pickford knows what he's doing. Didn't he badly injure Van Dijk a few seasons ago? He did indeed. Who else have we got here? Darren. Evening to you, mate. Is it true Souček isn't being offered a new contract? I think we need to keep him and try Mav as well. Look, I don't know is the honest answer. I think Souček now being 31 years old, I did suggest that we might see a couple of stalwart players, a couple of players who have been at the club for a long time in their 30s, etc., probably leaving. It won't surprise me if he leaves, but it won't surprise me if he stays. He's still got another year, I think, left on his current deal. West Ham Pete, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. We need 2 more wins, I think. I agree. I totally agree with you, Pete. I think we do need 2 more wins, and that will be that. The win against Arsenal would be imagine. Don't get above yourself still. Sorry, Disasi was smashed over. Yeah, he was pushed, but apparently it wasn't a hard enough push. What's all that about? The push wasn't hard enough. What do you mean? What do you mean the push wasn't? Gaza. Brentford looked good tonight. We have not got a good record against Brentford, especially away, but at home against Brentford ain't that much better. No, they're a bogey team. They're a bogey team. We've got to be on it on Saturday. Absolutely. Randy, Darren, from what I remember, they were not going to offer him a new deal unless his recent form suggests they may change it. Look, he's the sort of player now at his age, 31, getting on to 32. He's the sort of player that we should be offering a season at a time deal, like a lot of clubs do when their players are in their 30s, etc. A season at a time, I think, would be fair for him and fair for us as well. Darren, heard Kudus is not injured, but preparing his latest heart transplant. I don't care about him, to be quite honest with you. You know, I'd love to see Kudus down in the Championship in Tottenham turn around and go, we're not selling you. You're going to help us get back up. Good luck with that one. Who else we got? Robin, good evening, mate. How many bookings did Everton pick up fouling Jimmy? I think it's 4. Definitely 3, but it could have been 4. Toha. Talking to keepers, the Hibs goalkeeper had a mad one catching the ball outside the area. The Zaragoza keeper was sent off and ran up the pitch to punch the opposing team captain. Love it. Absolutely love it. There's a lot of nutters out there, isn't there, playing football? Graham. Question, which game will be the one that keeps us up, in my opinion? The win against Arsenal. The win against Arsenal. You heard it here first. The win against Arsenal. Vonnie, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Kansas Storm, good evening to you. Any news on the kit sponsors for next year? Well, there was talk about Audi, wasn't there? But that's all gone quiet. And there was also talk about, what was the other one? Can't remember. But no, nothing yet. I think we're all waiting. You know, no news on season ticket renewals. They're normally pushing them hard by now, but we're all waiting on what league we're going to be in before any of that comes out. Marky boy. Nuno needs to drop his ego, play Wilson from the start, sub him after 60 minutes. He'll score more than Tati and Pablo together. He'll do a different job. Look, I get it. They're strikers, Tati and Pablo, and we expect them to score. But Nuno's got a system, and so far we've got to trust it because it's working for us. Victor, Spurs last game of the season, home to Everton. Moyes does his old club a favour with a result at Spurs. Now I would absolutely love that as well. Garino. To Marky Boy, wouldn't he is an impact sub now, can't last more than 45 minutes. Pablo and Tati offer a lot more, closing down, forcing errors and bringing other subs in. That's on Wilson. Yeah, and I agree with that, to be honest with you. I'd like him on a bit earlier sometimes, and not the last 10 minutes, but yeah, I kind of agree with that, Garino. Darren, yeah, pundits reckon Spuds will get the rest of their games. Laugh my arse off. Didn't know they were the comedian. Really? They're going to win 4 games, are they? Well, let's see, shall we? Randy. Daz, Villa next for Spurs and have not beaten them once this season in the league or in the club. And then they got Chelsea away, and they don't do well there either. Michael. Cundy is morphing into Louis Spence on Talk Shite. Obsidian, hello, mate. I hope you're well. Brentford looked very good despite losing. Ryan, good evening to you. I hope you're well. Robin, I can't see Newcastle picking up any points in their last 4 games. We will do them and finish above them by a point. That's a good prediction. Absolutely. Hammer it. I would not be starting Wilson. He is one to bring on 60 minutes or more. We need a game changer, and that's what he is for me. He hasn't got a full game in him every week, and he's got a big point to prove. I do agree with that. I do agree with that. Clive, Stelios, I'm loving it that you have your own QR code, very 2020s. Thank you very much, mate. Ryan, everyone saying hello to each other. Marky, interesting to see Andy Payne saying Jimmy and Fernandez will be sold. How does he know? I've talked about this till I'm blue in the face. You know, I've already said, let's not worry about who might or might not go. Let's see what league we're in, because if we stay up, I guarantee you Nuno will persuade a lot of these players to stay. I can't see us getting rid of a big player, and I know that's a big statement. Let me rephrase. Let me take that back. I can't see us getting rid of the likes of Somerville and Fernandez and Disasi on loan if we stay up. I think Nuno and Tadibo as well. I think Nuno will persuade him to stay. Now, there's a possibility that Souček might be sold. There's a possibility that Bowen might be sold. You know, Souček is 31 now. Bowen would be 30 at the end of this calendar year. You know, and I could see the possibility of one of those 2 players going. And there's a lot of players that we've got out on loan that will go. They're not big money, but there will be enough money coming in order for us not to have the goalie. Will probably be sold. His name's gone. That's typical of me and my old age. But there are players on big money that might be sold. Areola, Areola's on about 110, 120 grand a week, and he may be sold. Again, not a lot of money, but 10 million here, 5 million there, 7 million here, 15 million there, etc. We'll build it up for us not to have to sell a lot or any of our big players. Kaz, Brentford will be a tough game. They look good tonight. They're always tough. I totally agree with you. Let's scroll down. Who else we got? Daniela. Spurs fans are suffering for an illness called delusion of De Zerbi. We're a shit team, but become winners. Yeah. Let them delude themselves straight into the championship. Graham. Tati and Pablo confuse me. I can't work out what they actually do, but thank heavens it seems to work. They get about. They I like the way Tati closes down really early, and he's got pace on him to do that. And I like Pablo the way he's a grafter. He's a grafter. And right now in a relegation dogfight, it's grafters that you need. And I see what they offer. I see what they do. I see what they're giving West Ham United. Aaron, we'll see how loyal Kudus is. Well, he's apparently already making arrangements to leave. Victor, Pablo and Tati may not be the best, but we have ever signed. But boy, they work hard and for the team and have given more than Paqueta. Absolutely 100% correct. And this is what we needed. It reminds me of when David Moyes took over for the second time and he brought Bowen in and he brought Souček in the January transfer window. Grafters. And it took him a long time. Souček started almost straight away. Took him a long time to get Bowen up and running, always giving them sub appearance here and there, and that paid off and they helped us. And I see Pablo and Tati in a similar sort of vein. I know they're not scoring a lot of goals, but they're grafting for the team. Jenny, the Staveley link is interesting, but I wouldn't get too excited until we secured survival. Absolutely. That said, I'd love to find out what the consortium is, if true. There's a lot online about the consortium that she's apparently put together. Josh, so I think we will most likely draw this weekend. I think that's possible. We'll beat Newcastle. That's also very possible. Arsenal, I'm not sure. And Leeds, we have to beat at least once. Absolutely agree. And that's the way it could go. I think we'll get something from the Arsenal game. I think we will, I think we will. Have I missed Sharp Watch? No, you haven't. I hope you're well, Sean. Thank you for joining, mate. Evening to you, Sarah. I hope you're well. I'm very well. I hope you are too. Randy. Daz, with Villa, they need Champions League wrapped up. So Spurs will have a tough game. So not a gimme. Absolutely not a gimme. Ronnie, I hope you're well, mate. Wilson is no good if we don't get the ball in the box. Yeah, Wilson has got a part to play, but look where he does his best work when he's inside the 18-yard box to tuck it away, as he did on Saturday. John, evening all, Hammers. Hope you're well, John. We are staying up 110%. That's the attitude I like. Randy. Ryan, we should too, mate. But as they say, approach will be key on the weekend. Look, do not be upset, disgruntled, pissed off if we go for the counter-attack on Saturday. I'm envisaging that's how we're going to absorb. We're going to counter-attack, as has been said in the chat. Brentford are vulnerable to the counter-attack. Nuno will know that. Nuno will this will be the ultimate game for him, to go out against Brentford, counter-attack. Look, if we get 20% possession of the ball and counter-attack and win by 1-0, I'll fucking take that any day of the week. Any day of the week in the situation we're currently in. Andrew, Pablo's first, second, third goals against Gooners would be great, especially in the last 3 minutes when those third-gen Cockneys have gone home early to Brentford. And I like that. Slim Cuts, good evening to you. I hope you are very well. I hope you are too. Good evening to you, Kevin. I'm very well. I'm worried if we go a goal down, we don't have the strikers to get back. I'm not worried because there's a resilience about the team at the moment. There's a massive resilience about the team, and no longer do we go a goal down and our heads go down. We find a way to get back into the game. Kaz, I would start Wilson to play to his strengths. Don't leave him isolated when his legs have gone. Look, I get everyone suggesting it should be Pablo and Traore. I understand it. Pablo and Tati. And Traore, I'm surprised Traore hasn't got more game time. I don't know what's happened there. But I wouldn't start. I wouldn't start Wilson. But bring him on as an impact sub. Randy, Ryan, at least for what it's worth, it's working for us that we've got the consistency and the momentum right now. Just have to maintain our points advantage and keep them at arm's length. Absolutely. Stel, what's the chances of keeping Fernandes providing we're in the Premier League? I think very well. And yeah, not stellar. I haven't changed that much. Yeah, I think very well. I really do genuinely think this. I really do. Look, I know we've heard about, Man United are interested and Man City are looking and PSG are looking. I've got no doubt at all that he will be sought after whatever league we're in at the end of the season. If we're in the Premier League, his value will be a lot higher, of course. I've got no doubt there are clubs looking at him and going, I like what I see. I do think that Nuno will find a way of keeping the likes of Fernandes. I really do. If we stay up, because what he'll do, he'll turn around to him and go, mate, I'm going to build around you. I'm going to build my team around you. He kind of did that at Nottingham Forest with certain players. And I think this is what he'll do. He'll turn around and go to Fernandes, you are my pivot. I want to build a team around you. I get the right players to complement you. And I think Fernandes will go another season. Why not? Another season, and why not? Randy, Daz, no, I can't see it either. Although it would be key as to how Villa perform in Europe with Forest. First leg with Forest. Spurs away record at Villa Park is not great. What? Let's see how that turns out. Victor, would you sell Magassa and keep Alvarez? I kind of like Magassa, and I don't know what's happened to him, because when he started, I'll never forget the game at Man U, away to Man U, when he scored the equaliser, and just how fantastic he was on that night. And he's played a couple of games around that period of time where he was superb, and then boom, all of a sudden he's gone completely, and I don't understand why. I don't quite get what happened. I quite like him. He's probably one for the future. So I'm going to probably risk your wrath and say I'd probably keep Magassa, because I think there's something about him that might be worth hanging on to. Ryan, I reckon we'll get something against Arsenal as well. I've thought of it for weeks that we'll get something against our... I think we will. They'll be nervous for the win. They'll go all out and they'll expose themselves. It amazes me, English Yardie, how these pundits are siding with Spurs to survive the drop. It's mind-boggling. Let them all be deluded. Dabble a bit. Good evening to you. We ain't always seen eye to eye, Stel, but I like you. Thank you. I like you too. Because you've always been level-headed, but most importantly, look on the positives rather than the chat crap about the negatives. Yeah, I can be negative. And there are times when I can be, and I will get criticised for it, and fairly so. But at the moment, I can't see a lot of negatives, to be honest with you. There was a slight negative on Saturday when he brought Potts on, and I thought, don't do it. Because interestingly, we were talking amongst us at the time, and I said, or someone said, he should bring someone on, Traore or Kante or something like that, to give them, their defense, something to worry about. And when Potts was coming on, it's like, I love Potts, one of our own and all that. I'm not sure he's going to make it, but I went, oh, why? Why? And for those 10 minutes or so, we did sit back, and it was disappointing, and I felt a little bit like, what are we doing? And of course, they scored their goal, and it was like, why have you done this, Nuno? But then, of course, we got out of jail, with the Wilson goal. But you got to look on the bright side. Life's too miserable to even be miserable about your football. And I've said it, even if we go, I don't want us to go down, but even if we go down, I'll still be going to the games in the Championship and, hoping that we do well and come straight back up and all that. And there'll be moments when you're down and pissed off and it ain't going your way, but come on, people. Life's too miserable to be miserable about football as well. Jenny, sorry, Stel. All Nuno has done is sorted out the defence. I love Tati and Pedro's effort, but neither are quality strikers. Overpaid again. Wilson is our only proper striker, but past his best. I don't disagree with that, Jenny. I don't disagree with that. I think Tati and Pedro, it's interesting. As a couple of years ago, we were interested in Castellanos, and I was talking about when he was playing for New York, whatever team it is in New York. He was playing in the MLS back then. And I said, he would be great at West Ham. But then he went to Italy, didn't quite work out for him. I think we've also got to remember, they've only been in the Premier League a couple of months, these two guys. Only a couple of months. Imagine if we stay up and then they've had, the half a season under their belts and what they may be able to do next season as well. I know they're not doing it at the moment. I get it. I hear it. Between the two of them, they've only scored Tati scored three or four goals, and Pedro hasn't scored any. But Pedro set up a goal, and I know it's not enough. But imagine if we stay up and what they might after experiencing the Premier League, they've been thrown in at the deep end. Let's not forget this as well. They've been thrown in. It's the toughest league in the world, and they've been thrown in at the deep end, and they're doing a job. It's not the striker's job like we all hoped and expected, but they're doing a job. But imagine if we stay up and they've got half a season under their belts, and then they go again next season, what they might be able to produce then. And I know it's not for the future, it's for the now. I get all that as well. But imagine, John, Kone will be a player next season. Kante, I think you're talking about. And for years to come, I think you're talking about Kante. If you're talking about Kante, I totally and utterly agree with you. Right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop there for a moment. I'm going to do a quick round robin of other news, and then we'll get back to your comments in a moment. Okay, so let's do, and I know you're going to get bored, but it's all West Ham, and it's good West Ham. The women's team were back in action at the weekend. They went 7 points clear of the Barclays Women's Super League relegation playoff spot with a 1-0 victory over Liverpool on Sunday. We scored our goal, or should I say Liverpool scored our goal in an own goal in the 6th minute for the game, and then we held on for a valuable win. So crucial to have gotten those points and move away from the relegation zone. So well done to the ladies. Now, I've got a confession to make. A couple of weeks ago, I talked about the under-21s not playing in the playoffs. I got it completely wrong because the under-21s played at the weekend in the playoffs. So they progressed to the quarterfinals of the Premier League 2 playoffs via a dramatic penalty shootout over Fulham on Friday evening. Fulham went 1-0 up, and you might have just seen that image. There you go. Fulham went 1-0 up, but Daniel Cummins drew the game level just before half-time. Then in extra time, Fulham took the lead again, but Lewis Orford made the game level again. And then on penalties, we won 4-3. We now face Brighton in the quarterfinals of the playoffs. How did I get that so wrong that I suggested that we weren't in the playoffs? But there you go. Even I can get it wrong sometimes. The under-18s, after a few bad results, the under-18s were back to winning ways and a 4-3 win against Arsenal at the weekend. And they did extremely well because Arsenal stormed into the lead on 4 minutes. West Ham leveled on 19th. Arsenal scored another soon after, but we're back in it again just before half-time. We took the lead on the 66th minute, and Arsenal got back into it again, making it 3-3. Then we had a player sent off, and in stoppage time, Andrew Dyke got the winner. The under-18s are back in action again on Tuesday against the other North Londoners, Spurs, on Tuesday night. So well done to the under-18s and well done to the under-21s as well. We've got a bit of loan news, so let's go through that really quickly. Let's put that up later. We don't want to see his mush, do we, just yet? Loan news. So there were 6 West Ham players on loan at their respective clubs at the weekend. Josh Landers made his first start for Boreham Wood in the 1-0 home win over Sutton United. On the final day of the National League regular season, Ryan Battram started for Braintree Town in their 5-1 defeat at Tamworth on the final day. The Essex-based club were relegated back on the 6th of April, so this game didn't really count for much. In Italy, there he is, Fulkrug, the man we all adored because he said we were shit at one point. In Italy, Nicholas Fulkrug appeared as a 62nd minute substitute for AC Milan in their goalless Serie A draw against Juve. Milan sit 3rd in the league. And that's as much as I can say about him because he has done nothing for AC Milan since he went there. Staying in Italy, Maxwell Cornet, remember him? Yes, he's still playing. Played the final 9 minutes as a sub in Genoa's 2-0 home defeat by Como. The Ivorian winger was making his first appearance since the 7th of February and his 8th for his loan club. So it's another one that's coming back to us. Fulkrug is coming back to us at the end of the season, and so is Maxwell Cornet. Great, eh? In Hungary, goalkeeper Christian Hegyi kept a clean sheet as MTK Budapest continued their resurgence with a goalless draw against some club I'm never going to be able to pronounce on Friday evening. MTK are now safe from relegation as they're 8 points clear of the drop zone. In Germany's Bundesliga 2, Callum Marshall was introduced for the final 13 minutes as a sub in Bochum's 2-1 win over Greuther Fürth. The Northern Ireland international has featured in all of 14 Bockham's matches since he joined on loan in January. Back in England, in the Championship, George Earthy was an unused sub for Bristol City in their 2-1 defeat at Birmingham City on Friday. Right. Shall I do a match review now, or shall I do a few more comments? Let's do a few more comments. Ronnie, when we played Brentford in the Cup, we had a weakened team, and they did not, and we did okay. We can beat them. I fancy our chances of getting something. It may not be a win, but I fancy our chances. Randy, Budgie, what would be interesting is they have Atletico Madrid in the second leg tie before they play us, so could be out or in the final, so could take advantage depending on how they perform. Who's got them? Who are we playing that's in Europe? There isn't a team that's in Europe. Darren, do you think we'll play 5 at the back? No, I don't. I don't think he'll change the formation. I think he's stuck with it now. It works for us. It'll be a 4-2-3-1. I think he'll continue with that at the weekend. Marky, I didn't say give Wilson 90 minutes. Give him 45. Hopefully a couple of goals up, then go defensive. I'm not sure that starting Wilson will get us those couple of goals, though. Because he needs to have the service provided to him. Someone mentioned a moment ago, the ball's got to be at his feet in the box in order for that to happen. Where we've got John. Possession means nothing. Lincoln City's 100 points and 23rd for possession. 100 points and 23rd for possession stats. I used to say the same thing under Moyes. Possession is not everything. It's what you do with it. John, we're not letting goals in for fun now. Brentford will have to be on it to get anything out of us. I totally agree. Mark. Good evening to you, Mark. I hope you're well. Our set pieces have improved immensely. 4-2-3-1 this weekend. Absolutely. I think it will be. Let's scroll down. Who else have we got? James. All Nuno has done is turn our season right around. Bloody Portuguese. What have they ever done for us, eh? Kansas Storm. What's that? Wrexham? Far more organised team than when we last played. We are a far more organised team than when we last played Brentford. All night here is we have an awkward game, but so do they. Absolutely agree. They have got, isn't he? I agree with that. I agree that their game is going to be awkward for them as well. Alvarez, he had an operation, didn't he? I think. Andrew. The grass isn't always greener. What have Rice and Kudus won since leaving? Fernandez, Disasi are feeling our love. Disasi loves. You see the way, the passion in the man. Absolutely superb. James, do you think 4-3-3 is better for Brentford? Their midfield was good against Mignour. That's a good shout. That's a fair shout. And we've got the team to be able to do that. That's a fair shout. We can play Somerville and Bowen further up front and sit Pablo a little bit deeper in the middle. But I think it'll be a 4-2-3-1. But it's a good shout, James. Marky, I don't see Fernandes turning down PSG or Real Madrid for another relegation battle. But why do you think it would be a relegation battle? I think if we stay up under Nuno, I think we're going to have a very good season next season. Sullivan never spending the money for anything better than 17th. We've spent money. I've always said it. We've always spent money. We haven't spent it wisely, but we've always spent money. Josh, what's your prediction for the remaining fixtures? I always expect the worst for us and the best for others. For some reason, I expect Spurs to pull up on Villa. I don't. I think we'll get a draw this weekend. I think Spurs will be glad to do the same. I think then we've got, is it Newcastle away and then Arsenal? Or is it Arsenal away? It's Arsenal away. It's Arsenal at home, sorry. I think we'll get something out of Arsenal. I think we'll beat Newcastle and I think we'll beat Leeds. And we may not have to by the in that last game of the season. Ivan. Antonio to somehow pick up the winner versus Arsenal in the 99th minute. Antonio to somehow pick up. That would be a miracle. That really would be quite a miracle if it was Antonio. I think you're thinking of someone else, but tell me who you're thinking of. Claret and Blue forever. Think Villa will beat the Spuds 3-0. Chelsea 2-0. Leeds 3-0. Everton 2-0. Relegation. There you go. There you go. Budgie. I know there's people who say that Mavropanos is the Greek god, but he's second fielder. Thank you very much, mate. Michael, I'm lumping on Madrid to beat Arsenal. Oh, cool. It's Madrid. Of course, Arsenal are playing in. Of course they are. To beat Arsenal, I'm leaving PSG, Munich alone. Dark Star, it shows how interested I am in Arsenal when I forget that they're still playing in European football. We can move on up the table next season if we continue our form and keep our players. I 100% agree with that, mate. 100% agree with that. Let's scroll down. Who else have we got? Charles. 2 more wins. West Ham stay up. Spurs are not winning 4 or 3 more games. I agree. I agree with that. I can't see them. Look. If they do and they overtake us, hats off to them. Then they deserve it. But I can't see it happening. Garino. We have lost 3 in 15 games or more? That's not relegation form. Let's not forget where we were on the 8th of January, 13 points behind Spurs. Absolutely. And as I said earlier on in the show, if you look at the form from mid-January onwards, we'd be now 6th or 5th in the league if we were looking on form just in January. So since the QPR game, since the Wolves game, since the QPR game, that's our form. We're 5th or 6th in the league. I know the real league is different, but it shows that we are one of the form teams at the moment. Daz, I agree. I think we are staying up. Mandy, that's a tricky game, Atletico, but Arsenal do seem to go on a goal drought until they play us. Not always. Let's see what they do. Look, listen, Disasi and Dinos in the side, and then we got Tadibo to bring on if we really need to as well. Good night to you, Daz. I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. We've got to remember, we're a very different beast to what we were earlier in the season. No negative vibes here. Everything is positive and rosy from now on. Good. Under 21s, absolute top boys. Why did I not know they were in the playoffs? I was convinced that they weren't. Mark, they lost to Man United tonight. Brentford by a corner and a counter-attacking football. Can suit us. Have to be clinical with those chances that we create. Absolutely. And I'll take that. I'd absolutely take that. If we win by that margin, by that counter-attack and a corner, I'd absolutely take that. So, Randy, Arsenal and Atletico are both in great form, and even if Arsenal got past them, Bayern or PSG attacking-wise will be too much for Arsenal anyway, unless they pull off a shock. Budgie, Connor, bugger off. See you, mate. Thank you for joining. Much appreciated. And anyone, make sure you should have promoted your channel. Tell them. Side, you're embarrassing me now. You honestly think I can read that? On Mavrobanos, boom. I can't read Greek. Sigh. I'm really, really sorry. I'm embarrassed, but I can't read Greek. Darkstar, Del Boy would say next year we could be Premier League champions. No, but Champions League. Did I say that out loud? Kaz, great show. Keep the faith. Everyone was staying up. Thank you, Kaz. Much appreciated, mate. Steve, Kante was Stuyden's 1 million, or $500,000 actually. Gutted they got rid of him. I'll tell you what, turning out to be a cool little player. Sean, just call them Honved every week. I was a teenage armchair Honved fan. Kaz, Earthy is not getting the games I hoped he would at City. But what does that say about the level that Earthy might be at? We were all calling out for him to be starting in the senior West Ham team, but he's not even getting a game in the Championship. Brendan Toha. Fresh, I played on the Honved pitch. It was a strange setup. Just started the game. No change of halves. And over 2.5 hours later, the Hungarian lad decided to stop. Couldn't walk for a week. Mandy. Toddy has been in great form, but you cannot disturb Mav and Disasi right now. You can't. They're on it. They're on it. And I can see maybe, just maybe, someone asked if they thought that we'll go 5 at the back against Brentford. Maybe if we're 1-0 up or 2-0 up or 1-1 or whatever, start again. Maybe if we're 1-0 up, maybe he might bring Tadibo on for a back 3 to finish the game off. Ivan, I was thinking of Antonio's hip thrust that introduced Spuds to the new stadium to also send them to. Thank you for clarifying that. I was there for that. I remember that. Andrew, I think it would be inexcusable now if a decimated Spurs were to finish above us. We're in great form and a fully fit squad. Absolutely no excuses. Absolutely agree. Still, Arsenal have Atletico Madrid. I'm not following it. In the Champions League, second leg at home before they play us. Sandwiched in between could help us depending on their outcome. Now that makes sense. Good night to you, John. Thank you for joining, mate. Really appreciate you being on tonight. Thank you. Right. I'll tell you what. Why don't we finish off? There are more comments to come. How many have I got there? I'll tell you what. Let's do the comments and then I'll go on to the last part of the show, which is all about the London Stadium, which is a little bit of an exclusive. Epic. Still, you can't read Greek secretly. I can't. I'm born and raised here. When my mother used to send me to Greek school on Saturdays, I used to bunk it. I used to hide away. Didn't want to know. I just want to go out and play with my mates, and I regret it. I regret it. Especially when I moved to Cyprus and go to warmer climes, and then I'll do the show from there. Harry, Cypriots are the children of Aphrodite who were lovers. There you are. We all are children of Aphrodite. Right, let's talk about. You know what I haven't talked about? The match. Right, I'm going to do a really, really quick one about the match. See how quick time flies. Let's do a really quick review of the game. Where's that gone? Let's bring that back up. There you go. So, team news. No changes for the team. Third time in a row. I know people were upset. They wanted something to change. For me, I kind of got it. You know, the team has been doing well over the last few weeks. So I understood no changes were going to be made. So that's absolutely fine. First half was pretty dull. Not a lot to talk about. You know, weren't that many chances. But there was the foul on Tati Castellanos, who was that the first half, or wasn't that the second half? That was the second half, wasn't it? There was the foul on Castellanos, so I think there was a penalty there. So their shout out for a penalty was, I agree, we got away with one with Fernandez handballing the ball, but we had a penalty shout as well. But anyway, Thomas Souček, you know, the much maligned Thomas Souček got us up and running in the second half. His 200th Premier League game, scoring a vital first goal for us, and he's shown his worth. He's shown why all the managers at West Ham have always stuck with him. They may drop him, but they always go back to him. Jared Bowen, I think, got better on the game. He created both goals at the weekend. Crescencio Somerville, you know, he got 3 or 4 of their players booked, and he was on it as well. And I can see goals coming from them in the next few games. And we've talked about the sub. It didn't help. It absolutely didn't help. I don't think it was the right sub to make, but we kind of got away with it. We were under the cosh. We conceded a goal. I did start worrying, but this is a never say die team now. A very, very different football team to what we were a couple of months ago, because we don't know when we're beat. So the game itself, it looked to me, if we were sitting around 14th in the league, 15th in the league, something like that. It was a typical mid-table, end of season, nothing to play for kind of game. That's the way it felt. That's the vibe that we got in the first half. You know, but of course we're not sitting 14th or 15th in the league. We're 17th in the league. And that's the difference, I guess. And so we needed the momentum to be picked up, and it did in the second half. And look, everyone complaining about the team lineup, everyone complaining about our tactics, but it's kind of working for us by the skin of our teeth sometimes, but it's kind of working for us. And as I said earlier on the show, you know, we you know, in our current form, in our recent form, we'd be sitting 5th, 6th in the league at this moment in time. So why would he change it? I understand why Nuno has not changed the lineup. Standout moments. If there are standout moments, it's the clearances off the line by Souček twice in the second half. The running that Somerville has done, you know, he didn't create anything, he didn't score anything, but he's beginning to pick up his momentum again, and to be running at the opposition and getting fouled the number of times he did, I think really, really bodes well. Jared Bowen, never say die, you know, sort of attitude by, you know, running. That second goal where he ran, he got the ball, he ran it, he worked it, he got the ball back again, got the cross in, etc. Got the header in, for Wilson to score. The never say die attitude is what I really, really impressed me on Saturday. Yes, sitting back, I didn't like, but the never say die attitude, I think, was superb, and it won us the game. I think Everton are a half decent side, and when they scored, I feared the worst. I feared the worst, and as I mentioned earlier in the show, you started seeing people walking out again. You know, did we not learn our lesson from before? You do not walk out on this team, because they need us. They need us right until the final whistle. And I'm glad the majority of fans stayed. The stadium, the atmosphere was superb. Again, I think what Nuno's done is Nuno has made it very clear that we need the fans. He's made it extremely clear that we need the fans, and the fans have responded with aplomb. So the atmosphere was great. I'll never say die attitude was really, really good. We kept going at it. Even when we conceded a goal, our heads didn't go down. We kept at it. And I think we got our just rewards in the end by the skin of our teeth. Absolutely, by the skin of our teeth. But I think it was a game that we needed to win, and we did win. And as I said, should they have gotten a penalty? Yeah. Should we? Tati had his legs taken away from him. Definitely that one. And Disasi, the push on Disasi, where the referee just didn't even consider giving us a penalty or even looking at it was strange. But look, I think we rode our luck, and I don't mind if we ride our luck for the rest of the season. If it keeps us up, then I'm fine by that. Right. I'm going to talk now very briefly about the London Stadium and what I was told tonight. Now, I know I've kept this till the end, and usually you should put your, your big news out on the start. But we talked about Amanda Staveley at the start of the show, and I'm going to close the show talking about the London Stadium because it's kind of breaking news. It was information I was given just before I went online tonight, and it's all about Karen Brady, or the fact that she's now left. Now, with her out of the picture, there are rumours, and they'll pick up over the next few weeks, suggesting that the Mayor of London or City Hall could start opening talks with the current owners of West Ham United as to the future of the London Stadium. Now, it's no secret that Sadiq Khan and Karen Brady had a very fractious relationship. They didn't see eye to eye on almost anything. It was a frosty relationship, which now could change given where that Brady is out of the picture. For over a decade, Brady was the club's primary link to the stadium authority, to City Hall, and her departure removes that long-standing personality from the negotiating table. How many times have we been taken to court, or we've taken them to court over something minor over the stadium, etc.? So with her gone, there's a reset. The reset button has been hit. A chance for a fresh relationship, an opportunity for new proposals to be heard without the baggage that went on before. Now, this means that that talks could be a lot more meaningful than they have been in the past. City Hall has got two pressures. We know this. The stadium loses money every year, and the long-term sustainability requires a stable anchor tenant. We're the only ones in the game. West Ham United are the only realistic, stable, long-term anchor tenant. Now, we've got the 99-year lease, and 10 of that is already gone. So City Hall may now be open to exploring something different. And here are the options. There's a possibility of a sale of the stadium. There's a possibility of a much longer-term lease. There's the possibility of a full operational takeover, or there's a possibility of a joint management model of the stadium. Now, all of these, as far as the public sector is concerned, will reduce the financial burden to the public, the taxpayer. So the club has got its motivations, control. Let's say we buy it. I don't think we will, but let's say, for example, we buy the stadium. That means we will have control of match day revenue. But if we take over the operational running of the stadium, we will have control of match day revenue. Because at the moment, the only money the West Ham are getting in are ticket sales. But so everything else, like food and beverages and everything else that relates to the stadium, it doesn't go to West Ham. If we took more ownership or more control of owning or running, let's say, I don't think we want to own it. We've always hankered to run the stadium. Operationally, we've always wanted to operationally run it. If we took more control of that, then we might have more say on how to modernize the stadium, how to make it better fit for purpose. There'll be better commercial opportunities. We still haven't got naming rights, or City Hall still haven't got naming rights over the stadium. So there's that commercial aspect as well. And there could be more flexibility for redevelopment of the stadium itself. Now, under the current arrangement, West Ham, we're tenants, limited influence. No ownership. We've got limited influence as to every time we go to the stadium owners to talk about standing areas or this or that or the other. They always say, well, no, you're the tenants. You do as, it's up to us how the stadium is run. But if that changed, if ownership changed in some way, if we didn't become outright owners, but we became long-term tenants, or we have operational running of the stadium, all of a sudden, the everything changes, and we'll have a more favorable, we'll be able to have a more favorable approach as to how the stadium itself is run. Look, I said there are really the main realistic pathways: a full stadium purchase, West Ham to buy the stadium outright, total control, ability to redevelop, long-term financial potential security. But the challenge is high upfront cost. It will cost a fortune to change the stadium to how we want it. And there'll be complex and legal contractual obligations that we've got to buy ourselves out of with all those who are currently providing the food and beverage and all that sort of stuff. All those contracts would have to be looked at. And that will be on a cost basis. It will kill West Ham. So I don't think ownership buying the stadium out is actually the long-term potential. A long-term lease, operational control is another matter. West Ham to take over the running of the stadium while City Hall retains ownership could have its benefits. Lower costs, club gains control of operations, City Hall reduces its losses, and this is the most likely scenario and the one that West Ham itself would probably favour, being able to run it operationally. So it'd be a bit like how we had at the Boleyn, where we owned it, but we ran the operations of it. And that's a likely scenario. Joint management of it is also a possibility. Lower risk for both sides, gradual transition, easier politically and financially. And this could be a stepping stone to full control. But I think now, with Brady gone, there is, from what I've been told, with Karen Brady out of the equation, out of the picture, now City Hall are looking at the potential of talking to West Ham about the future of the stadium. Chance to renegotiate the deal, a way to reduce public losses, an opportunity to stabilise the stadium long-term's future. West Ham will have a rare opportunity to gain control, a way to unlock more potential, commercial potential, and it's a strategic move at maybe long-term future ownership. So I think it's probably on the cards. Now, there is, of course, the other issue about the athletics and the athletic stadium, the stadium being used for athletics and so on. That's not going to go overnight. If we took operational control, that the athletic stuff is not going to go overnight. But what we'll have is, if we have operational control, we're paying a bigger chunk, a slice of the pie to actually run it. Of course, it counters by taking more income from it. But if we have that, we've got more control over how the stadium operates throughout the calendar year. So athletics will still have access, but it's got to work around a football calendar. You've only, the recent news that, that the athletics are trying to take over midway through a season. Is it next season or season after, or whatever it is? So that landscape will change. Will we have more say, because we'll be paying more money, but we'll be earning more income from the stadium. So we'll have a bigger say as to what else is run. So it doesn't interfere with West Ham's schedule, West Ham's calendar. So major events are likely to continue. So it won't happen overnight that athletics will go. Look, I think this is an interesting thing. I think it's quite groundbreaking news that West Ham United might now get the chance to talk about running the stadium. I'm not going to say owning it. I don't think that's going to happen, but certainly running the stadium. And I think that's now on the cards. This is how much the conversations were not being had during Brady's reign. She rubbed Sadiq Khan up the wrong way, and I dare say he rubbed her up the wrong way as well. So, they were more willing to seemingly to go to court over things rather than sort of negotiate things. So I think it's interesting news. I think it's possibly a gateway to, won't happen overnight, but to eventually improve how this stadium is. Would there be a rebuild? Well, we'll have more say into the seating structure and all that sort of stuff if we have more operational control over it. So that's the news. I don't know. You tell me what you think. Let's scroll down and see what we've got. Randy, Stel, was it the best outcome for West Ham when Forest and Villa play in Europe this week? Was it the best outcome as Villa have Spurs and Forest have Chelsea? Well, I would have said yes, but then you look at some of these teams, the way they're playing in Europe and then playing in the Premier League, and it doesn't seem to be affecting them much. But I say definitely it should help us, because that's just a couple of extra games that these teams have got to play. But let me reread that. Maybe I got that the wrong way around. Was it the best outcome for West Ham when Forest and Villa play in the Europa League this week? As Villa have got Spurs. Oh, I've got to hear what you mean. No, I think it keeps their momentum going. I think they've done well, Villa and Forest in Europe, and it seems to help them with their league form as well. So I think let's not worry about it. Let's not worry about it. Si, I bunked off Hebrew classes that came home to roost when I was 13. I'm glad I'm not the only one that used to bunk off things that would have benefited me in the long run. Dabble a bit. Did I answer your question? I probably did. I might get back to that. Dabble a bit. When Suchek headed the ball onto the bar, I celebrated like it was a goal. This team want this. We are staying up. Mark my words. I totally agree. Robin, why is Nuno going for Potts instead of Kante? I don't think Potts has been the same since he got sent off. I agree. I think it was a strange choice to make, but I think he must have thought at that time that Potts was the best player to bring on at that time. Randy, Harry, hopefully we send Spurs down. The league will be a tricky one, though, as City can't make any errors, but the same can be said of Arsenal, as we have a say in the title. Darren, never leave till the final whistle has gone, even when we're losing. I never do. Anthony, I bet Mill will be up for having the Spuds at the Lions Den. Imagine that. Jenny, we are a far better team under Nuno, but I just wonder if the penny is ever going to drop. Hope I'm wrong, but if we go down, it will be down to his pragmatic approach. Mark, breaking news. Still to scoop. I don't know. What do you think of the news? It was stuff that I was told about an hour or so before I came online tonight. Maybe it's not breaking news. Kansas, for the love of God, can they please get rid of the trampolines at either end of the ground in the next redevelopment? Dabble a bit. This team and manager is going places. Have belief, people. We're seeing something being built. I'm looking at Europe. Yes, I've been drinking, but Europe next season is on the cards. Look, I'm agreeing with you. I'm absolutely agreeing with you. Sigh. My dad sold Chelsea for £1. Dabble a bit. I've been drinking, but even sober, I would say the same as my previous comments. Knock it down. It's falling apart. Well, it isn't falling apart, George. Good evening to you. But can we do something with it? I don't know. Mark, stadium good for running a sub 2-hour marathon. Dabble a bit. He's a crazy manager, that Nuno, but I like him. He sticks to his guns. He's nobody's fool. He will have us qualifying for Europe next season. Harry, bring in Staveley, get a backer to buy the stadium and surrounding grounds, knock down stadium, use Spud's old stadium whilst ours is being built. Apache, good evening, mate. Oh, Mandy, well, you came and gave me without taking, but you sent me away. Michael is singing his song. Brady will eventually turn Queen's evidence against Sullivan to keep herself out of prison. Michael. Anthony, that will be difficult as the new stadium is sitting on the old stadium. What did Harry say? Don't know. Kansas, there's an athletics track outside the club shop. Stick athletics there. James, when I win the Euro Billions, I'll hire Dutch plumbers, Japanese engineers, and dig down 6 meters, extend the roof, and solar powered pumps. If you still moan, then I'll put the price up. Darren. Oh, not Darren. Darren. Still, once Pablo scores, can you see the boosting his confidence, and he will get a couple more? Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. I'm down to the bottom. There you are. You didn't have a lot to say about the stadium. Do you think it's bollocks? Do you think do you think we should buy it? Do you think we should take operational running of it? What do you think? Mark, are they ones that never knock usual? Are they ones that never knock? I don't know what he means. Usual said something. He's responded. But what do you think? Should we take ownership of it, or should we take the operational running of it? The operational running of it would actually make an awful lot of sense for me. Absolutely. And I think that's where we should go with it. Take over the operational running of it. Victor, I think Nuno has done an amazing job. I was a West Ham coach, working with one of the smallest squads we have ever had in the Premier League, and not got the coaches he wanted. I agree. Let's make this a final comment. Darren, we should buy the stadium, then knock it down for a proper stadium, get the seats closer to the pitch. That's the bit that I don't think will ever happen. On that note, no sangria, just juice, mate. My throat's been dry. I've been ill for the last 2 weeks, haven't I? That's it. Do a poll next Monday still about the stadium. Yeah, I might do that. Good option there. That's it. I'm going to leave you, love you, and leave you. Sorry, I've got to read that one. He couldn't score in a brothel, but makes a nuisance of himself. I don't know who you mean, but there you go. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Really, really appreciate it as always. I'll be back with a few shows with news coming out, so do look out for those. Like I said, become a subscriber. Click on that QR code and become a subscriber. Click the like button, hit the bell notification to let you know when I'm next on, and hit the hype button as well. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and I will see you all very, very soon.